Ole Miss may have the best wide receiver in college football, and no one is talking about it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm Stephen Willis, a former staff member at Ole Miss and a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports. Today on the show, we talk about Ole Miss having the best wide receiver in college football and no one talking about him. Tre Harris could literally lead the nation in receiving. Also, we talked about Ole Miss adding what literally could be a top 5 jersey in all of college football as a part of their Drip in the Sip brand, and Ole Miss being the only team outside of Oregon that does variety like this is interesting. And to this point, they have not had to cheat like Oregon and like Florida have and add colors with no history in their tradition, in their combinations. That said, there are a couple of uniforms that I want Ole Miss to bring back. And there's also an interesting rumor about this year's Realtree helmet. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're free and available in all the podcast apps and on YouTube. So thanks for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and a special hello to the everydayers who make the show what it is. July 2nd, a week from today, I think, might be tomorrow. But at July 2nd at 7 p.m. Central, you can join us at Walk-Ons in Ridgeland, Mississippi for a little meet and greet. To be informal, I confirmed yesterday with the general manager at the Walk-Ons in Ridgeland, and Justin from Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles is going to be there, and we may have some swag to give away from Scott at College Corner. We're still working on that as we get close to the event. There's still time to join the Grove Collective and help Ole Miss football be elite. You can go to thegrovecollective.com and join today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as the playoffs wind down and the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking you up and hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone right now, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. It's really interesting stuff. Ole Miss has potentially the best wide receiver in college football, and there's not many that even can be in discussion with him. But Ole Miss's receiving core and Tre Harris in general doesn't get the respect of other people, like the high-end people at PFF. They really like the wide receiver at Ohio State. Or somebody might talk about Luther Burden at Missouri, and those are both good wide receivers. This isn't poo-pooing on them at all. This is all about the talent of Tre Harris. And Tre Harris in Lane Kiffin's offense is the point that I think the national pundits are not paying attention to. We don't know exactly what a Chip Kelly offense at Ohio State is going to look like with him just being the offensive coordinator, what they're going to do. If he likes to run the ball like he did at UCLA, Ohio State's not going to be the best wide receiving core in the country. Luther Burden, the same thing. Without a running game, you need a running game at Missouri to complement what is going on. Without that, Luther Burden is going to struggle. Now, Lane Kiffin has shown over the years the ability to take a star and to really make him at the next level. Look at Amari Cooper at Alabama. He had like 110 receptions. Marquise Lee at USC. This is two separate schools to where you've had a receiver over 110 catches in a season. Lane Kiffin feeds his stars. And because of that, I think Tre Harris is a prime candidate for a Biletnikoff award-winning type season. You can literally have a point where Tre Harris leads the nation in receiving and receiving yards. And if you look at what happened just a year ago, in essentially 9 full games, he played like a snap or two against Alabama, and I think he played the first series against Tulane before he got hurt. But in between there, he missed all of that. And it was basically 3 games that he missed. He ended up with 54 catches, nearly 1,000-yard receiving, and 8 touchdowns. If you saw him completely healthy in that Peach Bowl, there was nothing that Penn State and the number 1 defense in all of college football could do with him. They couldn't cover him. They couldn't do anything with him. And if you look at PFF grades, Tre Harris was the number one receiver in all of college football in dealing with single coverage. You need to be able to double this wide receiver or he will absolutely destroy you. Now, this is where Tre Harris and his best friend happen, and that is Deion Smith. Deion Smith is the transfer that's coming in from Holmes Community College. He is an elite guy. He is a Randy Moss level talent. And what he is going to do is to make it to where you cannot double team Tre Harris. You have to play him straight up. And there's very few people that have the secondary to match up with just those two outside guys. We're not even talking about Caden Prieskorn and Juice Wells and those guys in the middle. But on the outside, very few teams have the athletes that can match up with him. And when you have a quarterback like Jaxson Dart, who last year he was 233 for 358, 3,364 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, you can see to where he can make a jump. He only had 23 touchdowns a year ago, and part of that is because they didn't have his size all over the field. He had Tre Harris, but Tre Harris could be doubled in close to the red zone to where you couldn't throw the jump ball to him. Now with Deion Smith and those other weapons on the other side of the field, Dayton Wade was a really good player. Do not hear me talking down about Dayton Wade, but in tight red zone and in red zone situations, you could single coverage him. You could physically lead up to where you could make things difficult for him. And as Caden Prieskorn got a little bit better and all of this, Ole Miss's passing offense woke up, but the touchdowns are down because during the red zone, Ole Miss's offense would struggle from time to time because of the lack of size. A really good player, Tre Harris. I think Tre Harris could be up for 90 catches in a season. Maybe 1,600, 1,700 yards, somewhere around there. I think that is on the table for Tre Harris, especially with Deion Smith. I get that Deion Smith wants to come in and lead the nation in receiving. This is his goal. Lead the nation in receiving and go to the NFL. I think everything is possible in his goals except for leading the nation in receiving, because as good as Deion Smith is going to be, and I do think that Deion Smith is going to be really good, his main role is going to be making it a little bit easier for Tre Harris. I think Tre Harris has a chance to be the number one wide receiver in Ole Miss history, at least have the number one year in Ole Miss history. That is where Tre Harris's ceiling sits. And if he does that, it's Biletnikoff. It's all of that stuff. Heck, Jaxson Dart will probably be on the podium in New York for the Heisman ceremony. But yeah, it's a situation to where I think Dart has a real shot to win the Heisman Trophy this year. I think that Tre Harris has a real shot to win the Biletnikoff this year. I think that a couple players on the defensive side, I think Princely and Monmielen, I don't know what the name is for the rush end, I think he has a shot of that as well. There could be a lot of players that are potential award winners for Ole Miss football. And that is really cool. And part of that is Tre Harris, who I think is going to have a Biletnikoff level season. And nobody is talking about this young man. And that's honestly a little bit of a disservice to him. Thanks again for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen of the day. Ole Miss added a top 5 uniform to their closet, and it is beautiful. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And sports aren't sportsing the way we want them to. But at FanDuel, it lets me keep these sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets at any time I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel and /Locked On to start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have you having to turn down the volume with all of that screaming and shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you each and every single day to bring you the biggest stories without all of that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So Ole Miss released a new uniform, and it is literally a top 5 level uniform in the entire country. Heck, we'll just go ahead and bring that up right now. Ole Miss is bringing out a powder blue road jersey. So when Ole Miss has worn the Stormtrooper jersey in the past, like what Ole Miss wore at Georgia a year ago with the red, that's still an option. That's still in Ole Miss's closet. This adds a little bit of variety to Ole Miss, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It has just enough red on it to make it an Ole Miss looking jersey. But that powder blue is just gorgeous. If you look at this, it's Tre Harris. We just talked about him last segment. He is the one that is modeling all of this, and you can see how Ole Miss is going to use it. Now, if you look at what Ole Miss did in 2023, Ole Miss has a thing, a little gimmick that they are doing to where they don't wear the same uniform twice in a season. And because of that, I mean, there's a little bit playing fast and loose with the rules. Like they might have the American flag Ole Miss decal as opposed to just a Navy uniform or something like that. But within the white pants and the gray pants, and then they have the red jersey, the Navy jersey, which is being criminally underused at this point, by the way. They have the powder blue jersey, but the road jersey, they have one option, or until this year. And that is the red numbers over everything. So you see, those are the uniforms that are worn the most times during the season. Now, they might be worn with different helmets, but they get used a lot. So variety is the name of the game. And Ole Miss is doing that in spades. Now, if you look at this, these are the way this uniform will look with the powder blue helmet and their white helmet with the powder blue accents on it. Again, really, really good uniform. You look at the whole thing, it's just like straight Stormtrooper, but it's a fantastic Stormtrooper. It looks terrific. Ole Miss also can use the powder blue uniform on there as well, or the powder blue helmet on there as well for a little bit of variety. So you can see these blue numbered accented white jerseys probably twice a season moving forward for Ole Miss football. Again, if you look at what they're doing, you can see that they do not go over and over. So you might see them with the white helmet once, you'll see them with the powder helmet. Now, everybody's going to say, what about the Realtree helmet? They could break them out again with the Realtree helmet. And the Realtree helmet is kind of going away because this year they're going to debut a new Realtree type helmet that they've been working on. So you won't have the Wave 3 like what's behind me this season, which is that's a gorgeous helmet, but they're doing something a little bit different. And I've heard rumors about what direction they could be going in. And I think that could be really interesting because I've heard that could be a more Navy centric helmet. Again, this first Wave 3 jersey just happened to work out for the powder blue. And yes, it was absolutely gorgeous. But the rumor is, and like I said, I stress rumor because the stuff that I've heard on this is about the most flimsy stuff you can have. But it's more Navy centric and it may be more of a digital type camouflage that comes out. So that's just what I've heard of what could happen, but it could be absolutely gorgeous. And I've been pleading. And if you've seen me on social media, you know that I've been pleading that Ole Miss needed a helmet to wear with the Navy jersey besides the Navy helmet, to where you can only wear it one time, maybe two, depending on what the pants are. I want the Navy jersey to be in the rotation a little bit more. And a digital camouflage helmet, if that does actually come to be, if this rumor that I heard is remotely true, that would do that. That would allow Navy to be more a part of, honestly, the catalog. To where during the course of a season, you have, 2 games with red, maybe 3, maybe 3 games with powder, maybe 2 games with navy blue, something like that to balance it out a little bit more. The white jerseys and the 5 road games, you got 3 games with red numbers, 2 games with powder numbers, and you kind of have it set. Now, I do think that Ole Miss needs to add some more, and we'll talk about that in the next segment. There's a couple of uniforms that I think Ole Miss needs to bring back, and I emphasize bring back, not add, bring back. And we'll talk about those in just a second. But this uniform is potentially a top 5 uniform in all of college football, period. I'm talking about the best of the best around college football right now. These uniforms would rival those guys. I would put these guys, like if there's a uniform of the year, like maybe is it Uniswag or something like that on the Twitters out there, I think this has a chance to win uniform of the year for Ole Miss. Now, I do not understand why everything has to be monochromatic right now. I do not get that at all. I don't understand it. I think it's a sign of the end of civilization. Whoever decided that monochromatic was clean, whoever decided that monochromatic was the only way to go. Every time you see a picture like this, it's monochromatic. Why isn't Ole Miss getting like white pants with powder stripes on it? Just some kind of an accent on the pants. Maybe a powder pant. Something like that. Why is everything designed for the white on white on white? And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but I would like to see a little bit of variety. I think that contrasting uniforms like let's take the powder blue helmet, the red jersey, and the gray pants. I think that's one of the best uniforms in all of college football. The navy helmet, the navy jersey with the gray pants, one of the best uniforms in all of college football. I think that Ole Miss can get away, if they wanted to do it, with the powder helmet, the powder jersey, and the gray pants. I think they could get away with doing that as well. But I don't know exactly where monochrome just got decided as a really clean look. And that is limiting in a way. And every photo shoot that you see people releasing on Twitter, it's all a monochromatic jersey. And like I said, that's one of the things, but the mixing and the matching is where the beauty happens in college sports. Like the gray pants going with the red jersey with a navy helmet or a powder helmet, or even a white helmet would be fine. But I can see where the Stormtrooper look gets, like the all white, I get. But anytime you deal with monochromatic, it could be interesting. Now, I'm going to tell you a monochromatic look in just a second that I want to return. We're going to talk about that, and you're going to say, whoa, Steve, we just decided that was bad. But we'll see how it goes. Thanks again for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen. Listen, Ole Miss has the best uniforms in the entire country, period, bar none, not even close. But here are some additions, again, stress, additions that I would like to see happen. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that cover every single league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. Be part of history. Now, it's really interesting stuff. Like I said, this was a top 5 uniform in the country release. The Drip and the Sip brand that Ole Miss is having is one of the most successful things I've seen. Lane Kiffin and the branding is basically dragging Ole Miss by the bootstraps into the modern 20th century, and they've made it kind of an it type of thing. I love this uniform, but there are 2 uniforms that I desperately want Ole Miss football to bring back. And the first one is this. I love this. This is one of the best uniforms ever. This is the uniform that Ole Miss wore against Texas in 2013. Jeff Scott had a punt return in that game. When you have the white pants and the white jerseys, the same thing that Ole Miss has with the current red strip, but this is just a way for it to look a little bit different. I love the Navy. The Navy, I don't know why. I think it started with Tommy Tuberville back in the late 90s with him being completely adverse to navy blue, to where I got very protective of navy blue. And I was worried. Navy blue is almost like the middle child of colors of Ole Miss. You have the oldest, which is the red jerseys that everybody loves. You've got the youngest child with the powder blue stuff that everybody loves. The uniform that gets lost is the Navy uniform, and I think it's gorgeous. Like last year against Georgia Tech, Ole Miss wearing the traditional navies, it just looked fantastic. And this is another way for Ole Miss to get the Navy into the circulation a little bit more. I love this uniform. It is just fantastic. It's the one that, honestly, I'm just going to be real here. Of this look right here, I prefer it to the red numbers and red stripes. Now, you need the red numbers and the red stripes because of the other stuff, but with the navy blue helmet, this is potentially one of my favorite looks. Now, the other look is going to probably get some eye rolls from people. Now, I'm not talking about the Rebels on the leg. No, I'm just talking about the reason I picked this picture is because there is no Rebels on the leg. Ole Miss, with this navy blue uniform, can do in their own tradition what other teams are cheating to do with black, okay? With black jerseys. Like Florida's orange and blue, one of the better looking uniform combinations in the entire country. They threw the black out there just out on a whim, just to do it. And it looks terrible. And it's almost a disgrace to their actual tradition and uniforms whenever you bring in new stuff like that. Well, these just adding some navy blue pants, Ole Miss already has everything for a all navy uniform. And I think that looks really good. You can use it on the November non-conference game, whenever that happens, or whenever you're playing on it. It's just a variety type thing, but it's a way to get navy incorporated a little bit more. I do think that Ole Miss needs to incorporate pants. That's the next step of their uniform journey. And I think navy blue pants, I think a powder pant. I don't think red. I think there's just a chance of looking too much like a strawberry when you're going all red. But I do think that an all navy blue would be a fantastic look. And I think the navy blue numbers and the navy blue stripes would be a fantastic look as well. Yeah, I know it's June. It's uniform months. So thank you very much for listening to my diatribe. I did give you Tre Harris, though, on the Bolitnikoff. Tre Harris has a chance to be the guy this season for Ole Miss football. He'll be probably the primary that gets taken to SEC Media Days with Jaxson Dart. Defensively, probably J.J. Pegues. That'll probably be the 3 people that end up going to SEC Media Days. But SEC Media Days is about 3 weeks away. We have almost made it to that point to where the ceremonial kickoff of the college football season gets underway. And we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to what could happen and what they're going to do. And we'll see exactly how that looks for all of the SEC coaches. Like I said, and I've put this out with a couple of interview shows, but there's people that watch this that don't watch those extra videos. But my question this year is, how many cowboy hats will be at the SEC Media Days event within media and all of that stuff? You know, they love a gimmick. All corporations love to virtue signal. That's what they like to do. And the cowboy hat would be a way to do it, with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league. Heck, that's probably likely to make Texas A&M feel even more welcome. It could be a lot of fun to see. But I think a good number of people, you could have a situation. Look up Lane Kiffin sombrero from the Sun Bowl from back, 10 years ago. And you can see what a head coach putting on a football or a cowboy hat could look like. So there's a chance for some pretty high comedy over the next couple of weeks. Again, we're about a week away from the meet and greet at Walk-Ons in Ridgeland, Mississippi. Talked to the general manager yesterday. We are all confirmed. I'm working on getting some swag. I'm working on bringing some swag. If we have some shipments come in, I am going to bring some Locked On Ole Miss swag up there as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Ridgeland. Like I said, there could be 5 people there. There could be 15. There could be 50. I'm not sure. I don't understand exactly how big this will be, but however big it is, we will try to have a good time. Should be a lot of fun. Thanks for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day. We have the most perspective surrounding Ole Miss sports. It's one of the many reasons why we are the number one Ole Miss podcast out there, and thank you for that. But for your second listen, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that cover every single league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. For those of you on YouTube, we will send you there right now. Howdy toddy, everyone.